Hello.
Good morning. Good evening.
Good evening. Murder, She Ate, episode 4 coming at you today. And I have a disaster meal. That's what I'm calling it, at least. So if you guys are watching this for the first time, this is not really keto related. The only thing keto is the food. The dialogue is going to be about murder, crime, bad things. Not everyone likes hearing about that, so if that's you, probably tune out. So we each tell a crime story. I don't know hers and she doesn't know anything about mine. And the idea is, maybe you can see what we're eating, pick up on that a little bit, but mostly hanging out, eating dinner together, having friends.
Having fun.
That's our best shot at having friends. Still heartbroken from those Yuba City boys.
Yeah, that was pretty tough to read and really just memorize everything because now I know all the details.
Yeah.
Looks like a healthy half cup of barbecue sauce. I can't resist.
You got to give the new 6ix9ine album a listen. I did give it a listen. There's a few good tracks on there. I don't love it from start to finish. Just too much screamo for me.
This was before he went to jail?
Yeah, it came out almost as he was going to jail. And if you guys like this, suggest cases or mysteries that you like.
Because I always pick from what you guys suggest.
You pick, this is a suggestion?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Last time
Mine is not.
City was too.
But this is one of my favorite ones. At least the first time I heard about it, it was really shocking and awesome to me.
How's the lighting now? Better?
Oh, what we got for dinner? Burgers.
Boogies. So we have...
I have bacon. I'm just going to eat my bacon separately, though.
The ground beef we got from the farm that we've been getting deliveries from on Friday. So we got our raw milk, raw cream, eggs, and then we also got some ground beef. So we're trying that out.
Did you try it yet?
No, not yet. And then I have onions under the cheese. So I put the onions down, and then I melted its raw aged Gruyere on top, which I got at Whole Foods today. I was very excited to pick it out. And then Matt has bacon, cheese.
How many ounces is this of mine?
I have 7.
I think it's pretty rare still, super rare. I have 9 then.
His is bleeding, which is perfect for the crime.
And I have a little cheese, and this is the first time I've eaten cheese since you guys maybe have seen the histamine video.
So we'll see
I'm giving it a try.
How he does in the morning.
Matt's hair is missing. Yeah, it is. Oh, and then here, we just had a steak that was in the fridge for a while, so I decided to cook it really poorly. It's probably well done. It
looks like a pork chop, but it's a steak.
Yeah, so I got that.
I want to try it now.
Here I have this homemade raw milk yogurt that I've been eating.
It's so delicious. It's so sweet. You don't need to add anything to it. It's perfect.
And then maybe some nut butter for dessert.
Yeah, maybe I'll grab one of those. It's one of those days, guys, right after the holidays. We got a lot to do.
My daughter Alyssa doesn't like to hear keto talk, but loves Murder, She Ate.
Oh, she's 8?
She's 8 years old.
That's adorable. I love that. Hello, Alyssa.
She should do her own called Murder, She Ate, but let the number 8 instead.
Good one.
Because she's 8 years old.
Yeah, that would be cute. When will you start a Keto Atlanta get-together? We got a lot going on right now. Maybe in the summer, maybe we'll do one. That'll be a good time. It'll be really warm out. We'll have things mostly settled at that point with our cookbook and stuff. Be out of the way. Are you doing the carnivore diet? No, we are not. I guess it kind of... No, Matt is...
I do it 95%, I'd say.
Whatever I'm feeling.
The only thing I do that really isn't carnivore diet is stuff like this. Sometimes I'll have nuts.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, the entire week, all I ate was steaks and nut butters. That's all I was feeling. So.
Sometimes I eat coconut stuff. Maybe an avocado occasionally. Love you guys. I have your book. Man, I'm working on the second one now, and I always thought it was going to be just kind of easy because we talk about it all the time. All we do is talk about keto basically. But writing a book about it, it's hard to sit down and write. Video opportunity, week of carnivore. We've done that before. We did that a year ago. What about snake diet for you guys? No. I don't think that's good for anyone who's at a healthy weight. Because people at our weight that are trying to build muscle, eating once every 3 days makes no sense. If you're trying to lose weight, though, it could make some sense.
Or if you travel a lot, works with your schedule.
Yeah.
We work from home and we're food bloggers, so definitely not within our means.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like creating recipes, you can't really do that.
Right.
You gotta taste them.
What happened? Your looks at whatever happened was hilarious. What?
I don't know what that means.
Hi from Jersey. Hello. We never get like any East Coasters like that. It's always like, I feel like the Midwest and foreign. Or in California.
My hamburger is too raw.
Are you gonna cook it more?
I gotta cook it more. Is yours raw?
No, it's medium.
Let me cut it in the middle and see.
It's gonna be raw in the middle.
I know.
This is what always happens. Hello from Georgia.
Yeah, it's super raw.
Hi from the Bay Area. Love Murder She Ate. I'm very overweight and so far lost 10 pounds. Any advice?
One sec, I'm putting this in the oven.
Do you want me to do it while you answer?
The only thing is the oven makes noises. No.
It's okay.
Okay.
Hello from New Mexico. Hello from New York. Oh, now everyone's chiming in with where they're from. I love it. What is the green bottle you're drinking? It's Topo Chico, so it's carbonated water with like a little lime flavor. We like to get it. We've only ever found it at Whole Foods and maybe some like fancy coffee shops.
I always think I want my hamburger really rare, and then when I cut into it, I'm like, nah, dog, you can't do it.
Yeah, that's why I never do it. Love your shaved head. I put butter in my coffee and I got an upset stomach. MCT oil better. I'm gonna say MCT oil is gonna be way worse.
It's gonna be worse for your stomach.
Maybe just do like half a tablespoon of butter if you were like doing a full tablespoon.
Or just don't do it at all.
Yeah, you don't even have to do bulletproof coffee. Hello from New York, yay!
I've lost 17 pounds since summer. How are you guys doing over the holidays?
Yeah, it seems like most people are just like sticking to keto and they're loving it and they're feeling good. Maybe like it's their second year and they've like already had 1 year last year where they went off keto.
My 17-year-old son is keto guy. Oh, wait, the keto guy? The guy who has a YouTube channel, right? That's great.
I don't know.
Try powdered butter or coconut oil, says someone.
Coconut oil is gonna give you the same impact.
I think so. It's probably just the fat.
Pennsylvania in the house, woo!
Now I'm trying this terribly cooked steak. Let's go.
How's it cooked?
Not good. Like well done, but it's not seared.
Can I have a little? No worries. Can I have a little piece?
Yeah.
We did our first keto Christmas. Yay! Is olive oil better for you than MCT oil? They're completely different.
What does better mean?
Yeah, exactly. So it depends on what you're using it for in terms of like cooking. I'm gonna say olive oil is better, right?
Well, MCT oil is better for like quick energy. Olive oil actually has like some nutrition to it. It's not just pure energy. So different contexts, I'd say different things are better. Your steak looks terrible, Matt. Yeah, it is. It's not great.
It's not terrible. Cooked extremely poorly.
It was in the fridge for a while though, so I felt like today or never, basically.
I'm on a carb pig out. That'll happen. Dinner was brisket and homemade Caesar dressing on salad. Simple but delicious. That sounds really filling.
Is raw carnivore a thing?
I think that would just be like raw, right?
It is a thing, yeah. I mean, so what I'll say about it is like we're way over paranoid about eating raw meat in America. We think you like immediately die of mad cow disease. But like most people historically have eaten some kind of raw meat. Like we eat almost none. Maybe we eat sushi now. Maybe we eat like steak tartare occasionally. But it's pretty extreme too. Like it's so far away from what we do as societies now. But yeah, it is a thing. Some people do it.
Where's the bad dog? Oh, you want to see the bad boy? Here he is in his new sweater. Show it off, Julius. You want some?
He already got so many treats lately.
I know. He hasn't even been eating his real food. And today I was worried. And then I was like, oh, we're just giving him way too many treats. Will the diet get you a hot Indian woman? No, but okay, Cupid might. Should we start? It's 33.
Yeah, we should.
Okay.
Who's starting?
Me.
Okay. You're just full-time starting?
Yeah,
Okay.
full-time starter. You were a bench warmer in college, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that, but I don't know.
I'm messing around. Okay, so mine is the case of Cindy James.
Cindy James. I don't think I've heard of this one.
It happened on June 8th, June 8th, 1989 is when her body was actually found. But there's a lot of years of incidents leading up to this point. Okay. Cindy James' body was found in the backyard of an abandoned house in Vancouver, British Columbia, in Canada. She was found hogtied with her hands and feet behind her back and a nylon stocking tied tightly around her neck, and the discovery of her body ended 6.5 years of harassment, stalking, and suffering on the part of Cindy James. Poor Cindy James. The autopsy revealed her death was caused by a drug overdose of morphine. And from the scene and how she was bound, you would think it was a murder, as most people did and still do. But the police actually believed it was a suicide.
Wait, so she had something around her neck?
So a nylon stocking, you know, like stockings,
Yeah.
tied tightly around her neck, and her feet and hands were hogtied behind her back.
You can't do that by yourself.
You can.
Okay.
It's been tested, and it can be done.
Okay.
Pretty quickly. So the police believed not only that it was a suicide, but the 6.5 years of harassment was her own doing. So we have
the
mental illness versus the fearful homicide, right? That's where we're at.
This is a lot like my case from last week.
Which I like.
Okay.
There's a lot to uncover, and you never really know, so you just have a lot to talk about. Okay, so I'll give you some background, and then we'll go into like the details of everything. The 6.5 years. So she was an administrator at a preschool for children with behavioral and emotional issues, and she had recently been separated from her husband in 1982 when the harassment began. So they separated in July, I believe, and then in October is when the harassment began. At first, it was just a few anonymous calls a day. Some were silent, some were just creepy whispers, some slight threats, but nothing too over the top. And there were sometimes witnesses who were there, like when she received the calls, like cops and friends, but they never heard any of the whispers or the threats. She claimed they only heard silence. So, they never heard like who the suspect could have been.
So someone's at least calling.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she only experienced like the creepy whispers and things. No one else knew of those. As time went on, she started to receive threatening notes, and her phone lines would get cut once in a while. And in the month to follow, she found 3 dead cats on her front porch, and they all had threatening notes attached to them. And
she found dead cats?
Dead cats.
Okay.
Strewed along her porch, and the notes. She eventually involved the cops, and obviously at first they took it very seriously, as any cops would. And after some time passed, and she continued to report the incidents were getting worse after she informed the police, they started to find it hard to believe her because there was all these like crazy incidents. There was over 100 reported incidents on her behalf, but they couldn't find any suspects. There was nothing on their end found that like, oh, maybe some suspicious activity is going on, right?
Okay.
So they just started to like, maybe she's just making this up,
And how old is she at this time?
She's 44.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see if it's like a 70-year-old, you're like, oh, it's this crazy old lady.
Or like a 25-year-old maybe?
No.
No?
Maybe, I don't know, maybe, yeah, like trying to get attention.
I feel like 44, like, I don't know, you're in your, I don't know.
Prime of believability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're logical, I would think. And she's a good job and nothing, in her really in her history, I would think.
Okay.
So at this point, the cops are involved, and at nights, she would hear people outside on her property, her porch lights would get smashed, and even her friend was attesting to the fact that the notes were appearing. So her friend Agnes is very much involved in this, and she can say, yes, the notes do appear on the doorstep, and the continued and frequent harassment really just scared Cindy enough this is weird to me, become reluctant to share details with the cops and her friends and her family. So like
She thought they might be in on it?
No, we never really know why she became reluctant, but her family believes that she became reluctant because the attacker threatened her family. And so she was like, if I tell anyone anything, the attacker will go after my family, so I have to be very like cautious about what I say.
And this is shortly after, was it a divorce?
A separation. They never actually were divorced.
Okay. So obviously the guy is a suspect then, right? First suspect.
He is, in fact, a suspect. Okay. So in January of 1983, so this is about 3 months later after the first attack, October 1982 to January.
After the first attack?
After the first harassment.
So the first call.
First call in October. 3 months later, she has her first physical attack. So Agnes, the friend, goes over to visit Cindy, just drops by, and she knocks on the door and there's no answer. So she's like, oh, maybe Cindy's taking a bath. Maybe this is her usual time to take the bath. And she still just decides to investigate the area. So she actually walks around and she finds Cindy outside, crouched down with a nylon stocking wrapped around her neck really, really tightly. And
why did Agnes show up? Was it
just a friend, like, hey.
It was arranged or no? It was just like random drop-in?
So we don't know.
Okay, because if it's random, then that's big.
And if it's arranged, that's big as well.
Yeah.
But we don't really know. I thought about that, though. So Cindy had apparently gone out to the garage, and all she recalls is she was grabbed from behind, and all she saw was white sneakers. She doesn't really remember anything about the incident except the white sneakers. And this actual attack led Cindy to just want to like move. So she moved, she got her car repainted, and she even changed her last name. And she also hired a private investigator. He goes by the name Ozzy, so we'll call him Ozzy. Which is something I feel like I would do too, right?
Yeah.
I would definitely hire a private investigator to be like on call all the time at this point. So
how far away did she move?
We don't know.
Okay.
So the police really, even though they didn't believe her fully, they never stopped investigating, and they even continued to question Cindy, asking her things about what's going on, but they did state that she didn't act like a normal victim would. They never like...
I don't like when they say this, because there is no normal victim, right?
Right, exactly. And like, who's to say what the cop thinks is normal? Exactly. It's arbitrary.
But there is something to be said for like kind of just a sixth sense type of thing that you have when you come across someone who's lying.
And cops have come across a lot of victims.
But a lot of the times they're wrong probably too.
Right.
But I will say you can get like some feelings and stuff like this guy's up to no good type of thing.
For sure. So that's just something notable, but I mean, I don't put a ton of weight on it. Like I don't put a ton of weight on the families, what they think either, but it's just something to know. So, and then also, to back up that, you know, Cindy felt like she couldn't really share much and she was withholding, which is what the police claimed. Ozzy said the same thing, the private investigator. So he reported that he always felt like Cindy was holding back and wouldn't tell him the entire story, which is also really weird. You hire a private investigator, wouldn't you want them to know 100% of the truth so they can like help figure things out? And when the police polygraphed her, the examiner also claimed the same thing, that she was withholding information and you couldn't get a really good read on her. And then, as I mentioned, something to note is that her mom and her family believed that the reason she wasn't divulging a lot of information was because she thought that the attacker would just go after her family and her sister in particular, and, you know, they would be killed.
So another possibility then is maybe the stalker was like provoked by some incident that she's not disclosing with everyone. I don't know what that would be.
The stalker was provoked by some incident?
Yeah, like maybe something big happened at the start, right when she broke up with her husband.
Yeah, yeah.
That she won't tell anyone about.
So there's a ton of things like we don't know about her past, and we won't ever know at this point.
Did you try this burger?
Yeah, I tried some, but that looks way better. I'm gonna put mine in the oven afterwards.
Okay.
The cheese, the way it smells.
I turned it off. Do you want me to turn it on?
No, I'll just broil it. Okay. So as the private investigator, Ozzy, he gave her a two-way radio because sometimes her phone line would get cut, so at least they would have some communication if they had this two-way radio. And one night, He hears some scuffling on the other end. So he immediately goes to her house. The front door is locked and she's not answering. So he peers in the front window and he sees Cindy lying on the ground with a paring knife all the way stuck through her hand. Okay. So he thinks she's dead. No way she's alive. There's also a note apparently with the knife. But he goes inside, gets inside, and she's not dead. But she doesn't have any recollection of the attack.
So to me, that sounds a little staged.
It does. For
but
sure.
Who knows?
All she recalled was being attacked from behind and a needle going into her arm. But what's weird is that no one at the hospital found any insertion of a needle. So no needle, really. And then in regards to that incident, the police never found any suspect, fingerprints, or footprints. And Cindy claimed that sometimes it was one person and sometimes he was joined by 2 or 3. So this just sounds like fanatical.
Sometimes? Like how many times was she attacked?
This is the second time. But
okay.
Yeah. And like she also hears people outside on her lawn, so maybe she's looking outside and she sees multiple people. That's what I'm assuming. So throughout all of this, she is still continuing to receive the weird phone calls, but they're always just a little short to be traceable by the phone company, so never traced. And police would even frequently, even though they didn't believe her, they were still helping out. They would put surveillance on her house, like 14 cops at a time, 2 to 3 weeks, and nothing would happen in those 2 to 3 weeks. But as soon as the surveillance was gone, something would happen.
Of course.
Something suspicious.
So maybe the guy has like ties with the police station.
So that's a good point. Something to note, since you brought that up yourself, is that a month or a couple months into the investigation, she gets into a pretty serious relationship with the lead investigator.
Whoa.
Which is, I don't think that's
super weird.
Yeah, I think that's like a conflict of interest, something wrong there. But yeah, they are together, they're dating, so I don't know where that falls into place. It definitely falls into the theories, but we don't know much about that.
Are they dating?
Yeah.
Or is it just like...
No, they're dating.
Okay.
So the cops even like set up cameras without her knowing in the garage, which you can't do.
What?
Which you can't do, because they also kind of thought she was crazy. So it's like, you know, they need to know, I feel like.
Well, no, you can't break the law.
You can't, but they did. But they never saw anything anyway. So the parents, again, something to note, they just believe that the attacker would stay away during the surveillance. So if the attacker is very smart, then he knows there's surveillance, obvious, so I'm not going to do anything during these times. And then in December 1985, so this is 2 years later, Cindy disappears and is found shortly after 6 miles away from her house in a ditch, again with a nylon stocking around her neck tied very tightly. She has cuts and bruises all over her body. She's wearing a man's work boot and glove and suffering from hypothermia. And she has no recollection of what happened to her. She's like in and out of consciousness at this point when she's found. So multiple attacks, never any recollection, not really sure what's going on. April of 1986, Cindy no longer wants to live alone. So Agnes and Agnes's husband, Tom, move into her house to stay with her. And one night, they're awoken by a fire in the basement, and since the phone lines are cut, Tom, the husband, runs out the door into the street to find someone to like call the police. And there's a man standing on the curb. He goes up to the man and he's like, "Hey, call the police." And then the man just books it. He just runs away. He doesn't do anything. He just runs away.
So now this is Tom saying this.
Yeah, but there's this suspicious man on the street, apparently on the curb, who just watched and then left.
Okay, so this is kind of starting to add up then, right?
But 1989, people don't want to get involved, right? You're less...
No, everyone's helping everyone out those times. It's like, oh, this something's happening.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. So he runs out and he sees the man. Okay. So the police suspected this incident actually had been staged by Cindy. There's a couple things to note. So at the time of the fire, 3 a.m., she's out walking her dog. Why are you walking your dog when you have a stalker and you're scared to death at 3 a.m. in the morning, right? I'm not leaving my house.
Okay, I'm not buying it.
And the window wasn't touched. The only window that led you into the basement wasn't touched. So the fire, it seems like, had to have been started from inside the house. So, I mean, there's not much there except that, but like, that's all we really need, right? I feel like.
Yeah.
So she was eventually committed to a psych ward by her doctor because he believed she was becoming suicidal. She was actually in the psych ward for 10 weeks.
So this is a scary thing to me. Like, if someone checks you into the psych ward, you just like, you can't really get out, right?
Right.
That's like a big fear of mine.
But like 10 weeks, me too. But 10 weeks is a really long time. So like when you attempt to commit suicide, from what I know, you're admitted to a psych ward for a week.
Really?
I think 7 days is a minimum, 5 to 7 days, because of your mental health and like you're a danger to yourself. Okay. So 10 weeks in a psych ward is a long time to be there.
So they're doing like some tests and she's not passing.
So the doctor that was taking care of her in the psych ward said that she really genuinely felt scared for her life, that there was nothing really wrong. We don't know a ton about her. Obviously it's confidential, but what we do know is that much. So 10 weeks passed, she's out, and she eventually decides to confess to her family that she knows who it is and she's going to go after this person. She said she suspected her ex-husband of all of this, but he's a psychiatrist himself, and he believes she had multiple personality, like dissociative disorder, which used to be called multiple personality disorder.
You can't really take his word for it, though.
Yeah. That's true, but can you take her word for it?
No, but he's probably doesn't like her anymore. They broke up. He's going to say mean stuff, probably.
And there was like a weird, that you can listen to online, a weird voicemail someone left him, but it sounds like a woman trying to be a man. And,
it's probably her.
And it said like, Cindy dead soon. Cindy dead meets soon. That's what it was, like, Cindy dead, like something, like raspy.
So is this whole thing her trying to get attention from her ex-husband?
That's a potential theory, just attention in general.
Yeah.
So on May 25th, 1989, she disappears from a mall parking lot. Her car is found with blood on the driver's side, groceries inside, so she was out just doing errands, and her wallet scattered underneath the car. And then 2 weeks later, her body is found at the abandoned house. As I stated in the beginning, she was hogtied. The coroner reported she died from an overdose, not like the asphyxiation.
Morphine overdose?
Morphine overdosed.
Would she have access to morphine?
She was a nurse.
Okay. Yeah.
She was a registered nurse, but she wasn't working as a nurse. That being said, we don't know if it was... Like, they don't know if it was injected or it was tablet form. Because her body... Yeah. Because if you took the morphine via injection, it's 10 times the amount, then immediately it impacts you, right? You've been on morphine in the hospital. It impacts you. If you take it by tablets or pills, it'll take like 15, 20 minutes to kick in, so she could have had enough time to like hog-tie herself.
Okay.
So it's very dependent on that. And her body wasn't 2 weeks worth of decomposed. So that's one thing to note as well. So she was missing for a while, but she wasn't necessarily dead the entire time.
Okay.
So that's really it. So theories are there's actually a stalker, but the stalker's super smart because there's no evidence, nothing's ever found, he's never captured.
What about letters, like handwriting analysis?
No, any of the notes, they were just pictures. They weren't like actual written notes. They were like weird pictures of like women tied up and things.
What do you guys got for theories?
Another theory was she liked all the attention. She was recently divorced, and once the police lost interest, she started escalating like the incidents because it went from phone calls to then a text.
That's what a lot of times happens. You just keep upping the ante.
Yeah, and then she did this to herself without knowing. So dissociative identity disorder, and when you have multiple personality disorder, it's a reaction to a trauma as a way to help a person avoid something bad that happened in the past.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know. What do you think?
There's not a lot of info here, so everything you've presented, there's no real alternative to the fact that maybe she just did it herself.
Yeah.
So her car was found with blood in it, so we assume she walked away from the car?
Yeah.
To the abandoned house.
Or if it was a stalker, she was taken. And there was she fought. Like, that's why there's blood.
How long did the stalking go on for? Like, from start to finish?
6.5 years.
Oh my gosh. Man. I mean...
So I went into this thinking it was definitely a homicide.
How do they think she managed to tie herself up that way? Yeah, that seems like it takes practice.
Yeah, so she just had to have been known how to do this. Maybe she did practice. Maybe she was that mentally...
Hog tie. We're talking like arms behind, feet backwards? Yeah, I guess that isn't that hard, really, right?
Well, if you know how to do it, you just know how to do it. I think what I read was some guy who did it in 3 minutes when they like tried it out. And if the meds take 15 minutes, then she could have done it before the meds actually kicked in.
But she would have no training of that. So, and back in the 80s, you have to learn from someone, I assume, right? You can't just...
No, you just practice, right? She lived alone.
Yeah.
She was separated.
Practice. She had 6 years to practice. Yeah, you're right. Okay. So, yeah. One of her personalities did it herself.
Yeah.
I mean, is that really the simplest answer? I guess maybe it is, just because all the info we're really getting is just kind of people's opinion of her, which seems like that matters the most for this case. So if...
Well, her family's opinion doesn't matter because they think it was an attacker.
Of course. But all the cops and stuff seem to think it was just her doing it, right?
So the suspects here are the husband, the boyfriend.
The new boyfriend, the cop?
Yeah.
I mean, he makes a decent suspect because he would know all of, like, the surveillance and stuff.
He would know how to get away with all of this.
But what's his motive, really?
Yeah. And then just that man on the street. Outside of the firehouse.
That's not. Just like a random person?
Yeah.
I think it's her or someone who could closely observe her.
Yeah, it had to have been someone not only, I would think, who did know her decently well, but like who knew how to get away with a murder. Like really smart, right?
Yeah, like...
And
I mean, there was no footprints, like no prints or anything found at the crime scene?
Because, like, no, nothing. And I also don't know, like, how long you can be on the phone before it's traceable.
I don't know either.
Is
in
it
the
like
movies,
10
it's
seconds?
always like a minute. They're like, just keep him talking. Keep him
Yeah, it's
talking.
like 3 minutes later, it's still not traced, so you never know.
Yeah. How far away was the abandoned house from, like, her general living area? Do we know?
No.
Okay. What about Agnes? Yeah, that's what I was thinking, too. Like, is Agnes in on it? Or was she just playing Agnes, too?
I don't know. It could be Agnes. She faked some of the stalking for attention. Some stalking was real. The ex-husband did it. Yeah, maybe.
This is a tough one.
These cases I really like, but you're just never going to know what happened. And it's sad when it is like a mental health issue.
Yeah.
And it comes to this. Because she was in the psych ward for 10 weeks. You think if she really had something like that, they would not have let her out. If they could tell it was serious.
So the fact that she died from morphine, that strongly points towards the possibility of her doing it herself, right?
I would say someone else doing it.
Why would someone else kill her with morphine?
Why overdose her instead of like kill her, actually?
Yeah. Like you wouldn't use morphine to immobilize someone. And you wouldn't kill them with morphine.
Maybe like... killing someone with pills makes it seem like a suicide, and it's easier to get away with than me stabbing you.
That's maybe the only explanation, yeah. Why would it take 6 hours to kill her? Did we say it took 6 hours?
No.
No. With multiple personalities disorders, it's common for one of the alters to want to harm the host. The other personalities have no idea of each other. Interesting. Yeah, I saw that movie Split. I don't know how good of an interpretation of that movie is, of split personality disorder.
I don't know if it's that fair of a representation.
Probably not. They didn't get divorced, but they split up. They were never married.
Yeah. No, they were. They separated.
Cop took pills from cop stash. That's a decent theory.
Yeah.
I mean, the cops were definitely acting unethical, right? They're just like surveilling whatever they want at random times of day. So...
I mean, it's a serious case if someone is actually stalking her.
Yeah, if you're using morphine to make it look like a suicide, why tie the victim up? That's true. That doesn't really align. I feel like you have a plan. When you're trying to make it seem like it's staged, you have a plan. You're like, I want it to make it seem like someone abducted her, tied her up, killed her. You wouldn't really do morphine in that scenario. Yeah, the crime scene strongly makes me think she did it herself.
Isn't that crazy?
That's really crazy.
Because when you look at it from afar, you're like, this happened to her.
But when you're so deep in it, like, I can only kind of imagine what it's like, but you're just like, man, everyone thinks I'm lying. I gotta prove to myself, like, I gotta prove that I'm telling the truth type of thing. But this is the ultimate way to do that.
But if she really had dissociative identity disorder, she's not thinking that.
Well, she just has a totally different reality.
Mm-hmm.
But she could still be thinking that. She has
multiple realities. Yeah.
Mega has onions on her hamburger too. Did you tell her?
Yeah.
How do you like it?
I love it. I love onions. How was your burger?
Good. I needed more salt though.
Oh.
You guys should discuss about the Shannon babies and Chris Watts case. Oh, comment after this video goes live if you want to comment those. We look at all the comments for new cases.
I looked up the Chris Watts case. It's pretty open and shut. He just he killed his daughters and his wife.
Yeah.
Who was pregnant, and in 2018.
Yeah, I've seen this one too.
And he's just getting love letters now. So I don't know what.
He's getting love letters?
Mm-hmm, in prison.
Okay, so someone keeps saying Munchausen syndrome. I want to look up what this is. Do you
know
what this is?
That's what someone. Yeah.
Is a factitious. I've never heard that word. Factitious, not fictitious.
Factitious,
right?
Yeah.
Factitious disorder.
In which.
A mental disorder in which a person repeatedly and deliberately acts as if he or she has a physical or mental illness when he or she is not really sick. Munchausen syndrome is considered a mental illness because it's associated with severe emotional difficulties. Oh, so that's what that one case is.
Well, she thinks she's like being stalked and things when she's not.
Yeah.
What? What case?
The case where the mom makes the daughter like seem like she has illnesses.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. It's good that we have like 8 billion of us. There's enough crazy ones to have stories about.
Okay, I'm going to pull up the chat.
Watts is not a mystery, he confessed. Yeah, not all of these have to be mysteries, so mine is not really a mystery either. It's solved, but it unwinds. So if you guys do know about this case, don't ruin it until it starts unwinding a little bit. But my case today is... It's called the Yoga Store Murder or Lululemon Murders. There's a couple different names.
Lululemon or Lululemon?
Lululemon, whatever. Lululemon. I don't know these things. So this happened in Bethesda, Maryland in 2011. And so basically a worker is going in to open the Lululemon store in Bethesda, Maryland for the morning.
I do know this one.
And he goes in to put the key in, and he notices that there's been a break-in. And he kind of like peeks around the corner and he sees everything strewn about. So he's like, whoa, okay, someone might be in there right now robbing this joint. So he grabs like a helpful Samaritan, good Samaritan, to go in with him and just like inspect the area. The guy goes in and he sees one person dead, all bloody, like crazy amount of blood, totally like the store is destroyed. Another person tied up, and he thinks she's dead also, but then he starts to hear moaning, so it's clear that she's still alive. So one person alive, one dead in the store.
Okay.
And
it's like the morning, he's going in for a shift. Immediately
the cops are called. They rope off the area. It's a crime scene.
Okay.
So the one dead person's hands, they're both females. The one person who is dead, her hands are tied above her head and her legs are tied together. And there's cuts just like all over her entire body. And the person who's dead is Jana Murray. She's 30 years old. She's worked at the store for a number of years. Person who is alive, her name is Brittany Norwood. She's 28 and she was recently reassigned to this particular store from a different store. Same Lululemon. Okay?
Okay.
So, Brittany, surviving the attack, is taken to a hospital in question because usually like when...
How severe is her attack?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
When an attack goes down, the best time is to get the knowledge just like right away.
Mm-hmm.
So, She starts telling them what she knows. She says her and a coworker closed the store, and they were walking to their car. She's walking separate, so she's walking to her car. She realizes she forgot something, a wallet.
Okay.
Like her purse, her wallet, whatever. She calls to get this particular girl's number who has the key. Jaina. Is that her name? Yeah, Jaina. So Jaina is the one who ends up letting her in, but she has to like call around a little bit first to get Jaina's number. So Jaina comes back to the store, lets her in, and then on the way out of the store, two men appear from behind the clothing racks and attack them. And she says...
So they were inside already?
Inside the store.
Oh, man. Okay.
So she says they were both raped, and she tried to help Jaina the entire time, but was just unsuccessful, basically. That's her account.
Who's the girl that's alive? What's her name?
Brittany. Brittany's alive.
So Brittany and her two friends did this, right?
That's what your initial thought?
My initial thought is Brittany. I would think like when I think one person survives, I'm like they're a suspect in my mind automatically.
Yeah, that's usually the case. Okay, so police take that and they start working the case. They start by pulling the security footage from the alley behind the store. And as Brittany reported, there's two men on tape dressed in all black. So it's like, boom, we got our guys. Instantly, police are very quickly able to locate these men. And it turns out one of them shows up bloody to the hospital the same night.
Like he was attacked?
Yeah, he was injured in some way. But they quickly clear the man because he just says he was like hit, he got in a fight or something. And his story completely checks out. So he's off the list. So the two people seen on the security footage, not suspects.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They have like alibis.
That's so weird.
Yep. Police ask Brittany if she has been in Jana's car. This is a key part of the case. She says she's seen it once, but she's never been in it. Okay, so Jana is the girl that died. Brittany's the one who survived.
Is anything taken from the store? Do we know anything about the store?
Well, we'll get to the crime scene evidence right here, but nothing is like taken from the store.
Okay.
So we got the crime scene evidence now. You got bloody footprints, and this is kind of curious. There's some that belong to Brittany. They were her shoes. And there's some that belong to a size 14 pair of men's Reeboks.
That's a big guy.
Yeah. And the thing about these footprints is that they weren't in like normal walking order.
Yeah.
Julius? They weren't in like the way a normal human would walk. It was like really like scattered about like weirdly like...
They were hopping or something?
Yeah, maybe like one hopscotch type of stuff going on. And so they couldn't figure that out. And the shoes were discovered to have been samples from the store. Like they keep a pair of men's shoes on.
So it could have been a smaller person
Using the shoes or something?
pretending to be a 14-foot person.
Yeah, so the shoes belong to the store.
Okay.
They were in the store to start the whole night.
And if you're a size like 9 in 14s, it's hard for you to walk around. You're not walking normally, maybe.
Maybe. Multiple attack weapons were used, but they were all from inside the store. This seems to always happen too. Like all of these cases where you're thinking of it. Intruders don't just use...
Yeah, they bring their own weapons
typically.
If you're going to attack.
Brittany did not have any really deep wounds. She had like surface level, like some cuts, but nothing to the severity of Jana, who had like very extreme wounds. And the other weird thing about the shoes is they were washed off at the scene. In the store.
In like the bathroom or something?
Yeah, like the bathroom. So immediately after they kind of inspect the crime scene, stuff is not adding up. So they start to become suspicious of Brittany's lack of injuries, and they're thinking maybe she knew the killers and let them in. That's their initial thought.
Okay, that's my initial thought.
That maybe would make sense, right?
I feel like that happens a lot.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Fargo, the movie?
No.
That's a good one. It's basically that.
Now it's ruined.
It is found that neither woman was raped. So right now we got inconsistencies in Brittany's story.
Okay, so they did like the rape test and it showed, okay.
Cops search both cars now. And they don't find anything inside of Brittany's cars, but blood is found inside of Jana's car. And immediately, the cops are thinking the blood came from Brittany. But they can't get around to getting it tested because just a lot of testing's going on at this time of year or something, so they can't get the testing done.
That seems ridiculous.
It does seem
so stupid.
A little ridiculous.
So were the cars in the same spot, or was it like potentially moved? That's why Brittany had to get in the car.
So Brittany's car is in the same spot. Janice's car is moved 2 blocks away.
Why would it have been moved?
We're gonna get to that.
Okay.
But the attackers told her to move it, basically. Brittany's family is like a good family. This comes up a lot throughout the case. Like, you know, all the kids are good. They play sports. But this seems to really be the case. They're good. They play sports.
Why?
They get good grades. That type of thing.
Okay.
Because it's really stressed in this story. But Brittany's brother, they're interviewing the family now. So Brittany's brother comes in for questioning. And he seems to be a little skeptical. Like, what's going on? Why is Brittany barely injured and the other girl's dead?
Good brother.
And he tells the story to the cops of a time when they ran out of gas and Brittany was just like really mad about it and stuff, and the dad walked like a mile to get gas at the next town and come back, and in the meantime Brittany had just like hitchhiked into town because she was just like so mad she just left, basically.
Really?
Yeah.
How old is she again?
I think in high school, so she's just like kind of impulsive.
How old is she now though?
28.
Okay, 28. Yeah, I guess a high schooler would do something stupid like that.
So at this point, they're on to Brittany a little bit, or they're starting to suspect her. And she gets nervous. She calls the cops and she tells them she has more information.
Okay.
So she's like, let's talk. I got some more info for you here. She goes in and meets with the cops.
Okay.
So, and what she's been thinking about, because, you know, when stuff like this goes down, you're just like thinking about everything. She remembers being in the car, and she's now telling the cops that she was in Jana's car. She moved it. So this is new info, changing her story from the original.
Okay. And why does she say she remembers it?
So, I don't know. She just said she was withholding the information because she feels bad because she could have gotten away. So basically the intruders tell her you have to move the car 2 blocks away, come back, we know where you live, we'll kill you if you don't come back. And why I think she was thinking about this is because as she was driving, she saw a police officer.
Okay.
So maybe she's like, that cop made me while I was moving the car, type of thing.
Okay, I see.
But the real question then is like, if you're getting attacked and murdered and you're out in the world and you see a cop, wouldn't you just talk to the cop and tell him what's happening?
Yeah.
Definitely, right?
I don't know. People act. We saw the movie Compliance.
Yeah.
People act. You can't really tell how someone's gonna act. Like, she might have been even more scared. She's bloody. She she thinks they'll pin it on her.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So detectives start asking for more details because she thinks she's just gonna come in, like drop off this one little tidbit and then, you know, see you guys. But the cops are asking for more details. How did it come up that she had to move the car? Like, why would she have to move the car? That doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
And she keeps asking to leave, and they don't really let her, but they just like do tactics where they're like, oh, we got to go talk to the boss type of thing. And then they come back in and they just ask her a new question, change topics. So she's not really there against her will, but they're not really letting her leave either.
Classic cop move.
Classic cop move. So they are actually talking to the higher ups at this point, though, because they want to try arresting her. So
right.
They bring the family in and they have everyone in the evidence room. Oh no, before this, they actually do get the arrest and they like handcuff her to the table. So now she's there
against her will.
But like lawfully.
Right.
Yeah.
She's Mirandized and stuff.
Yeah, they read her rights. So police bring in the family and they start sharing the evidence and it's like, you know, we got this. It's kind of weird. Brittany doesn't have any cuts. The other girl has hundreds of cuts. A lot of stuff's not adding up. So as this is going on, the whole family's like crying and stuff, except the brother. So everyone leaves and the brother and her are just in there.
Okay.
And they're having a chat. And he's like...
and this is all on surveillance.
Yeah, this is all on surveillance, although she doesn't think it's on surveillance, which I don't know why. Of course it's on surveillance. He says, I have to know what happened if you want me to help you. And then she says, I'm going to ruin our whole family. I don't know how this happened, but kind of alluding to the fact that like she did it, but not actually saying that she did it.
Okay.
So that's where that leaves off. And then we start getting more backstory on Brittany. So at this point, she's like arrested. She's awaiting trial. She's charged.
Okay.
With the murder.
And the other two guys?
The other two guys don't exist. So Brittany's charged with the murder. So it's discovered that Brittany has a long history of shoplifting. So now we're getting to motive here. Every year the employees get this one night where you can buy up to $1,000 worth of clothes for 70% off.
Oh my God, I want to work there.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know, this store is just like the most crazy prices ever.
Lululemon, it's ridiculous though. Wouldn't actually shop there.
So she bought $2,000 worth, way over the limit, but she just did it anyway. She's always like just trying to get away with stuff, kind of. Money was suspiciously disappearing from the register of the first Lululemon she worked at. So she switches stores. She's like about to get fired from the first store and she kind of knows what's going on. So she switches stores before that happens. But the old manager from her old store notifies the new manager. So they're like, suspicious.
They know.
They start doing bag checks just because of her, basically. So they're, which if you have an employee like this, I don't understand.
Fire them.
Yeah, fire them. So they're checking bags. And the night in question, Jana is the one who checks her bag. And finds a pair of yoga pants. Unaccounted for, no receipt. She asks, who sold you the yoga pants? She says some girl's name. Jana calls the girl, and she's like, no, I didn't sell her yoga pants. So clearly they got her. She's stealing. And at this point, Brittany had just gotten a better job at a fitness studio nearby. So maybe she's thinking, like, if this gets out there, I'm not going to be able to be a fitness instructor at this new place.
So you kill someone?
So, yeah. So Brittany is charged with the murder. And then that's kind of the motive for the whole thing. So the real question it's very obvious that Brittany did it.
Yeah.
So Brittany kills her. The question is it premeditated? This is what's up for debate, I think, in this case. So because of the phone call at the start where she was like called around to make sure Jana was the one that came to open it, it was like she was basically planning to kill. That's
premeditation.
Yeah, so it seems like maybe it's premeditated.
She knew when Jana came. Maybe she didn't know she was going to kill her, but I mean, what else would she have done, right?
Yeah.
Like beat her up and then say, don't say anything?
Yeah. It's just really, it
was definitely premeditated. It's first degree, in my opinion.
Yeah. So during the trial, Brittany gets a top defense attorney. She decides, the attorney decides the best course of action is to admit to a violent encounter and claim insanity. Because the evidence is just too much to overcome.
Yeah.
So the trial is like very emotional. They unveil, like the crime scene photos. There's like emotional, heartfelt speeches by Brittany's family, just like character testimony.
Yeah.
What a good person she is, etc.
That makes me so mad.
And it turns out, this is just more into the murder, some graphic stuff. She was struck 300 times, 150 times to the head, over 100 defensive wounds, and between 5 and 8 weapons were used. So this is like a long, ongoing attack.
Do you know, have you seen pictures of them? Either of them?
I've seen pictures of their faces, yeah.
And then, so Brittany just like idiotically took the size 14 shoes and stomped them around.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Maybe even just with her hands.
I mean, a size 14-foot shoe, they're going to find that guy if he exists, because that's a big shoe, right?
No, there's a lot of guys with 14.
Is there?
Yeah. There's probably in the city of Atlanta, there's probably 10,000 people.
Oh.
More, maybe.
Seems big.
The final injury, she was alive through most of the attack, and the final injury was like a deliberate stabbing to the back of her neck, into her brain, basically.
Jesus.
And
what were the weapons? So did she bring weapons with her?
No, just like store stuff, those hooks that you hang like socks on? Just like a bunch of those.
I don't get it.
Yeah,
man.
It's pretty senseless. People working next door heard talking, screaming, things breaking, but they never looked into it. They never reported anything. Because they were there overnight to set up for an opening the next day.
Don't you always, you check things out?
Yeah, I don't know. You probably check things out. If they hear screaming, deathly screaming.
Yeah. Or even someone dropped a bunch of stuff. You go and see if you can help them pick it up.
There was blood on the back emergency exit, which means it seems like she almost got out of the door and then was grabbed back. And the real only debate for the case was the premeditated murder.
Yeah, it was obviously premeditated.
And that's what a lot of the case revolved on. And another thing that made it seem...
So they charged her with first degree though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Another thing that made it seem like premeditated was that she moved the car 2 blocks because the boss lived across the street.
Okay.
To like cover her tracks. That's not really premeditated, I guess. That was just like covering tracks.
That's after the fact. So Brittany's dead, so it doesn't help with the premeditation.
Okay. So that was that. And the verdict was a quick decision, 1 hour, guilty. Sentenced to life in jail.
Good.
That's
but
it.
Still, it's just like, it's so pointless.
Yeah, it's really pointless. It's crazy.
For some Lululemon clothes?
I know. I see how things can escalate. Like this obviously would never happen to me, but I can see when you're like really wrapped up in something and you think like, man, I just got this job as a fitness instructor. This is my big break I've been waiting for. This is going to take me down. Like,
her sentence was life in prison. No, but like at 28, I'm 28 right now. If something, I guess I don't take many things seriously at this age, but like even if something really bad could have potentially happened, I'm not like I need to kill this person so that it doesn't happen.
That's crazy.
Like,
yeah, I guess
with
when
people
along
like that, is there something in them that's just chemically off balance?
It seems like there has to be, right?
I don't know. Or is it, because I guess that's where it like comes into play. Is it like a crime of passion or premeditated? But like, are all premeditated murderers like they have something wrong with them? Or could it just be me and you and, you know,
I mean, there's like mob hits that are premeditated.
And Margaret Green and Cece Mama and, you know.
Well, there's killing for purposes that are premeditated.
Yeah, this one was purpose.
I guess this was, there's a purpose.
But it wasn't like a purpose big enough, obviously. What purpose is big enough? Like someone, raped and murdered your family, so you go after the peppermint style. Sure, I get it.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, she had to have some kind of mental
immature
issue.
frontal. Yeah, even like just not even like something totally off, but like just like not fully like matured. And you think your life is over.
Is anyone replacing a meal with a meal replacement shake?
I mean, people do for convenience. So like when you work or you're on the go, that could be beneficial.
A lot of people view bulletproof coffee like that.
Yeah. You can always like add protein and collagen to your bulletproof coffees.
The ball spun out of control and made her illogical. That's what I'm kind of leaning towards. Like one thing led to another, and then the next thing you know, you're torturing and killing a person. Right?
It makes me so sick. I can't
She started with shoplifting, and then she was basically like shoplifting every day. I don't know. And then you're just kind of a criminal at that point, right? You start identifying as a criminal, maybe.
This must have given Lululemon a really bad name for a while. Who wants to work there now?
Yeah, it probably did.
Will you be doing keto during your future pregnancy? I will indeed. I'm sure I'll be changing it up, and I'll keep you guys posted for sure. That's the plan. Psychopath says she's led a life of crime, like shoplifting with no remorse. Murdered seemed no biggie.
That's definitely a big part of it, because to be a shoplifter, you do have to have kind of a disconnect from, like, I don't know, the remorse, I guess, is what it is, right?
Yeah, but
you have no remorse.
Why do we know she's felt no remorse? Just because she continuously did it?
And she stole people's money, too, like from their purses.
Oh, yeah.
See, when you're doing that, you're just like taking money that is someone else's. You have?
Yeah, I did it to be cool for my ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, I mean...
And I felt, like, now looking back, like, shame on me. Yeah. Like, I should have been caught. Like, that's not cool to do. When you're 16, you're 17. But yeah, the way she's doing it, definitely something off. What are you eating, Matt?
This is homemade yogurt from raw milk. I made it. We made like 2 big things. I'll grab one of them.
Narcissistic rage, yeah.
I made this big, this is 1 gallon of milk turned into yogurt.
Matt was like, we should make Go-Gurt. No, we should. Do you strain it? We do. As best we can.
We don't have really good equipment for straining it, though. Why is there so much rules? What does that mean?
On like the keto diet?
Keto rules?
There's not a ton of rules. I mean, there's rules to... Are you talking about rules in life, like no murder?
Elisa Lam case, that's one we're probably going to cover in the future. A lot of people think it's super interesting. I really don't.
I was going to do that the second week, and I went really deep into it, and there wasn't much.
Yeah, there's not much to the case, but the video is just creepy.
I guess showing the video would be really creepy for some people, and they would like to see that. So maybe we can do that. Maybe we can do like a quick one, Elisa Lam style. We can do like 3 quick ones.
Yeah, we can do that. I really want to do Stephen Avery soon. People have been asking. I think most people really strongly think he's innocent because of the documentaries. What
was her sentence? She got life in prison. Yes, rules in life in general.
Like don't murder people?
I think that's a good one.
JonBenet Ramsey. I saw in a magazine, did they find something about the case recently? Like the murder or something?
I don't know.
That case is really complex.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah. It is kind of complex. A lot of theories.
I'm moving back to the farm soon. We have 12 chickens. They are cutthroat birds. We'll clean your yard of any insect or rat. That's great.
Rats too?
Yeah. The Avery thing is completely out of control. I'd agree. $1, Secret Dragon 816. Thank you so much.
Cool name.
Yeah.
JonBenet, I think the brother did it. I think that's probably the most common theory. The brother did it and the parents helped cover up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parents who kill like young children out there.
Oh, you know what I was reading today is a crazy case. I love the cases that tie in to like Reddit or what's that other forum that people use? It's like a weird one. I can't remember the name of it.
Like a Wikipedia one?
Yeah, not Wikipedia though. But there's this one where like there's a post on Reddit. It's like, what is the what is it? Like, what is something you regret, or like what is something you got away with? It was just something like that. And a guy posted that he killed someone accidentally and buried his body like in this certain location. And then people got to dig, 4chan, that's what it is. And then people got to digging and they figured out like, okay, this guy's from this area in Missouri just based on his posting history. And then they go looking for missing kids in that area at that time and they find one. And then they're like putting things together. So it's like this Reddit guy is responsible for this missing kid. And there's like a few stories like that.
But do they say anything to the police?
It never really got fixed.
Could you imagine if you were the guy who divulged that and then you're like, shit, why did I tell everyone? They're putting the pieces together.
And there's another one where this guy is like, I was a hot heating and water cooling fixer mechanic guy. And the day after I worked on a house, the house exploded and everyone in it died. And I could have sworn that I I don't know the mechanism, but I could have put the cap on this thing, but then the next day I checked and it was like in my tool bag. There's another one like that. It was just.
But wouldn't they like go to him and be like, how did the inspection go?
I don't know. Because a lot of them are also just spoofs too. Like maybe that never happened, you know?
This is all just too much for my heart to handle.
They ran a documentary recently at the 20-year on JonBenet Ramsey case. There was that one on Netflix, I think. Over Xmas, I've officially finished watching every episode of Forensic Files. That show is scary sometimes.
I don't think maybe I've seen it. Yeah, I think I've seen it. Is it on Idea ever?
I think it might be.
Pretty sure she had a basketball or soccer scholarship and got kicked out the team for theft.
I think she played soccer. I don't know that she had a scholarship, but she might have.
So maybe at that point she was like, and nothing can go, like, I can't let things get worse.
Cold Justice show on Netflix. Ooh, we could watch that.
Have you heard of the Haley Min case? No.
Yes, I have. That's Adnan. That's Serial.
Oh yeah, Haley Min.
Isn't it Heyman Lee? Or maybe it is Haley Min.
I don't know.
Yeah, why would you call it that? Everyone just calls it ad
The ad
nauseam. But I guess it is. I think that's better to address it by the victim.
Person who's, yeah.
That's what most people say, right? I mean, yogurt. Yeah, homemade yogurt.
So what's the true story of John Bonet?
I don't know.
We'll get into it, yeah, one day. I have to do more research. I remember when I first heard about it when I was really young. Because it happened when we were really young, or was it, right? So like my mom, I remember, I felt like all moms were like, oh my God.
It was such a big deal.
Yeah. Also, for your case, I can't believe that there were two guys just happened to be on the...
Yeah, I think they were dishwashers or something next door.
Broadchurch on Netflix. Yes, that's one of our favorites.
I love that series. The guy from Colorado who killed his wife and children was moved to the same facility where Stephen Avery is.
That's weird, I guess.
Oh, so the Jean-Benet Ramsey case wasn't solved? I saw, yeah, you're saying it sells tabloids to this day. I saw one today, and it was like, after 20 years, this guy, DNA finally found this guy, but it probably wasn't even that.
Yeah, it's crazy. All of this stuff really spooks me out. So today when I was driving back from the grocery, I stopped to get gas, and I was like, this is the perfect time for someone to just like walk up to me, like punch me in the face, steal my car, or like, you know, or take me into their van. There was like a creepy like mechanic van next to me parked getting gas, and I was like, I'm just like, now eyes are open, like I'm not on my phone. It just really keeps your like attention up and running, you know?
I'm still freaked out about Bird Box and mass suicides.
Me too. When I was watching that movie, I paused it and I was like, Matt, do you think anything like this could
you
really
did.
ever happen? And because we don't have any curtains on our windows, and I was like, we're just gonna die. We don't have any like doomsday stuff to be ready.
We gotta be doomsday preppers.
I know. It's funny when you think about those people, but then it's like, to them, I don't know, they're just thinking it's gonna happen, and when it happens, we're all just gonna die.
What happens in that movie? I guess don't ruin it for people.
Yeah, it's really good. I highly recommend it. I liked it. I really love Sandra Bullock.
I do get worried about some kind of mass epidemic type thing again, though, right? Because aren't our immune systems all really compromised these days, and we have like crazy powerful, like, I don't know, like plagues and stuff just in labs?
Yeah.
Like, what if one of those gets out?
I know.
Or it gets into the wrong hands?
Or like, what if we get sick to the point where, you know, our antibiotics can't cure us anymore? A lot of people are, you know, don't respond to antibiotics, and we're not continuously making them.
Antibiotics?
Yeah, there's only a certain, like...
Well, everyone doesn't need antibiotics to live, right?
Yeah, but that's what they prescribe when, like, you get, like, really sick or something happens, or, like, a virus.
Yeah.
Like, what if there's a virus no antibiotic can, like, help you with, and it spreads?
Then everyone dies. That's like the Black Plague or whatever. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Yeah, the first time I heard about that Jonestown thing, I was like, how have I not heard about this before? But it's so crazy.
I know. That just freaked me out. I remember the first night I realized it existed, and I made Matt, like, watch, remember, in our Atlanta apartment?
You made me watch what?
Like, a video on it, and we were watching it in the living room.
No, I thought I made you.
Yeah, because I discovered it, and we watched it. Like,
Oh, okay, yeah.
Watch the movie Perfect Sense for mass virus spreading worldwide.
Perfect sense.
Oh yeah, antibiotics for infection, I apologize. But no medication that can help with the virus. Miley and Julius are playing.
It's been 6,500 years. We're still here.
But we're getting sicker as a nation.
6,500 years? It's been a couple 100,000. We're still here.
Have you seen the real pictures of the people dead from Jonestown? Yeah, I have.
Yep, I've heard the audio too.
Yeah, I have too. It is some scary shit. All right.
Is that it?
Yeah, I feel like 200,000.
Hi from Connecticut. Got your cookbook for Christmas. So happy.
Yay!
Elderberry for viruses. I love that everyone always has like one of those for viruses. Elderberry just cures all viruses.
Who was that Indian man who what was his name? Similar to Jonestown, but not like just a cult.
The recent one?
Yeah.
I forget his
Old
name.
Country.
Yeah. Is that what it's called? Old Country? I forget his name, but that was a good one too.
On Netflix, it was a series about the...
I have a relative that was involved with the Jonestown cult. Crazy stuff.
Oh man. Oy.
Yeah, there are still some crazy cults. Actually, okay, back to another Reddit story. This was one I was thinking I was going to do for an actual Murder She Ate, but there is a Reddit post, and someone posted, and it's like, I'm in a cult, I need help. And he's basically like saying, like, he knows nothing about himself. He's like, I think I'm Asian, but I'm not sure, just because it's like such a strict cult that you have
like
no...
he was born into it?
Yeah, you have no communication with the outside world. It's like, I think I want to escape, but my brothers and sisters are in here still too, so I don't want to leave them. If anyone in the cult finds out that I'm on the internet, they will like ban me and just all this crazy stuff. And people have just like been getting clues about him, and they're like trying to actually help him. Apparently, it could all be a spoof, of course, but apparently he's like in Canada, and they think they know what cult it is now.
What cult?
I forget the name of it. But that, yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that, like, things like that exist, and then it's also possible that it's just some doofus in his garage, like, on the computer just scamming people is ridiculous. Like, it's so frustrating. Scientology?
Scientology?
What about it?
The Cult of Wild Canadians.
Is that what it's called?
No, it's like a pretty one cult. Netflix documentary Blackfish.
Yeah.
We've seen that one.
Have we seen that?
About SeaWorld. That's sad.
That's not a cult though, right?
No, that's just...
It is very sad. It's so sad.
Yeah. You watch that one?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched it at your apartment one day in San Francisco a while ago.
What's like the best documentary you've ever seen?
I feel like I've seen a lot of good ones. It's hard to recall.
What's your guys' favorite documentary? I like the mysteries that involve money, like the show Greed. I don't think I've seen Greed.
Yeah, I guess, oh, you've never seen Greed?
No.
Oh, that is really, really good. I like Bernie Madoff type stories, but then I also like, obviously, like the girl with the mom who kept the girl sick. That one was really good.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I forget what that one's called too. I think my favorite is Gyro Dreams of Sushi.
My brother loved that.
It's so good.
He was obsessed with it.
Just the message. There's some other good ones too, though. There's a really good one. I can't remember the name. Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of good, but the info in it is like kind of bad also. Like juicing constantly, just like a 60-day juice fast.
Gypsy Rose. I've never heard of that. Have you?
Oh, Gypsy Rose. That's the name of the one with the girl.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't?
It was just Gypsy.
Oh. Just cut the packet open.
I was like, is that a documentary? Did you watch the HBO show Autopsy? It was on in the 90s.
I watched a few of those, yeah.
I never. Yeah, religious documentaries like that are super great.
Being Fooled by Leaders. Yeah,
like
so
that
there's
Indian guy.
one.
What is it called?
There's a really good one where a guy is a fake guru and he develops a following. Is it Kumare? I think it's called Kumare.
No, it's... Are we talking about the same one?
No, we're talking about different ones. There's one where this guy, he's like a 28-year-old, just like a smart guy. He's Indian, but he's just from New Jersey. He speaks English like exactly like Mega. But he like puts on an Indian accent and pretends to be a guru, a spiritual guru. He gets a following of like 20 or 30 people. And he eventually, it's all just to like prove that you
How
shouldn't
many
just...
people?
20 or 30, not a
Oh.
lot. And then he eventually tells them at the end. He's like super nervous to tell them because they all diehard believe in him. and it's like kind of a lesson to just, you know, like be skeptical about stuff.
That's hilarious.
Super size versus super skinny. I've watched a few of those. Those always pop up on YouTube.
Yeah, they do. And I was like, why is this popping up for
Maybe
me?
because I watched them.
Yeah. But I've seen them before. We watched them together. It's like a British show, right?
Yeah, I love that they're in British. They're like British English, and it's always like, she has 12 packets of crisps a day.
I'm like, that doesn't sound like a lot at all.
What are those? And they're always just having like sausage biscuits too. That's like a big thing in Britain.
Yeah.
Meat pies, sausage biscuits,
They always
takeaway.
give you the weight in stone.
Yep, that
Which
too.
I just...
She's eating 12 stone of crisps.
I liked An Innocent Man, but no, you guys didn't like it.
An Innocent Man.
We started it, remember?
I didn't finish it. It was decent.
I liked it, but you didn't like it, so we stopped watching it. Leah Remini's The Aftermath of Scientology. I watched most of that. It is fascinating. Going Clear was really fascinating.
Leah Remini is no longer into Scientology?
Right, she left the church and she's speaking out against it to help others like also come out of it. But Going Clear was fascinating. I don't know. I was like, this is like can make me think that it makes sense for the world.
Have you seen The Master?
No.
It's about Scientology.
I haven't seen
It's with Joaquin Phoenix.
it. Is he a Scientologist?
No, but it's just like a drama.
Oh.
He's an
cool.
actor in it.
Oh, that'd be good.
Greenleaf is some kind of show. I haven't seen that one. Blue Bloods.
Chip Buddies. What's that?
Anything Roger Moore. Roger Moore, is he like the Bowling for Columbine guy?
I don't like those documentaries type styles.
He
just like goes up to doors and knocks on them and he's like, hey.
Yeah, he seems like very political and sort of like distorts things to me. But the Bowling for Columbine one, I think that one was pretty decent. But I remember like the 9/11 one, it seemed kind of like conspiracy theory-ish, right?
I don't know, did he do that as well?
Fahrenheit 9/11, I think it was. Oh, that's Michael Moore. Roger Moore. Who's Roger Moore?
I don't know, it's a Miley.
LOL, that's Michael Moore.
We just got into a deep convo about him too.
Yeah.
This was fun.
Yes,
we should
it
do
was.
this a lot more. I like listening to your case.
I can't wait for Won't You Be My Neighbor?
We started watching it. It was hella boring.
It wasn't. Mega got bored. I would have finished it.
I would not have finished it, and we didn't.
Okay. We're calling it?
We love you. This was fun. We'll see you before next Wednesday for keto stuff, but next Wednesday for crime.
See you guys.